Hi, this is Amy Doherty, Assistant Director at the MSHSL. I will be narrating this year's tennis rules module. Thanks for choosing to impact young people by being a coach. This module will start with a brief reminder about the official rules for MSHSL tennis. The Minnesota specific section has a lot of new information, including new rules about coaching. We will also review sportsmanship expectations, bylaws, and postseason rosters. The following slides are co-sponsored by the USTA and the NFHS to assist in providing clarity regarding high school tennis across the country. Local USTA officials have assisted in providing focus on challenges faced in Minnesota. The United States Tennis Association Rules Book governs play in Minnesota. All coaches should have access to a current rule book that can be located on your coach's dashboard through the league website. Check with your AD if you have any trouble finding or accessing the USTA Friend at Court Rules Book. Next, we will cover information that is new for 2025-2026. As most of you are aware, the Tennis Coaches Advisory made a proposal to the MSHSL Board of Directors to adjust the rules in the MSHSL Rules and Policies regarding coaching during the match. The next few slides will cover the new rules. Let's look at each of these points in the rule. First, a maximum of 3 coaches approved by the MSHSL CER process are allowed to coach. Coaches cannot interfere with any play during the point. The purpose of coaching is to offer advice to the player, and coaches shall not in any way distract or annoy the opposing player or surrounding players and teams. Finally, no disruption in the flow of play is allowed. The time between the end of the point and the beginning of a point is 25 seconds. The intent of this rule is to allow a coach to pass along a quick word of advice, not for the player and coach to conference for a discussion between points. A guideline would be no more than 10 to 12 seconds after the conclusion of a point. The coach must be located in a back corner behind their player. If the adjacent court happens to be open, the coach may stand at the service line on the open court on the same side as their player. And 3 additional points. First, coaches will be held to a high standard of behavior as they always have been. There should be no loud cheering, unsportsmanlike conduct, or harassment of the opposing player. A player may not request a coach. A player may not wait for a coach to come talk between points. This would be considered disruption of play. Should it become necessary for a coach to be consulted due to a problem on the court, the opposing coach should also be present. And the rules regarding coaching on changeovers have not changed. They can be found in the MSHSL Tennis Rules and Policies. Finally, be sure that all of your fans are aware that coaching by other players, parents, or spectators during play and between games or sets during a match is prohibited. This includes any private coaches. The only individuals allowed to coach during competitions while following policy are those coaches who have been hired and or approved by your school district. With the rise of electronic devices and resources, the USTA and NFHS think this is a good time for a reminder about phones and devices. A player may bring to the court written notes that were prepared before the start of the match and may read these notes during the match. While on court or during a match, a player may not receive information via electronic devices capable of receiving communications, such as cell phones and smartwatches. If you have a player who needs a medical exception, such as use of a phone app to monitor a medical condition, please contact the league office. As I'm sure all girls coaches are aware, the postseason for girls tennis will be conducted in 3 classes starting this fall. Because of this, your section will look different than the past. The division of teams is by thirds, so the top 1/3 of biggest schools, the middle 1/3, and the bottom 1/3 in terms of size. We are adding one additional site to host Class AA, which will be Lifetime Bloomington South, which many of you know as 98th Street. The schedules will be the same as usual, and more information about the Class AA site will come in the state tournament participating school guide and pre-tournament virtual meeting. If you are a new or less experienced coach, there is an additional resource you will want to check out. On your coach's dashboard, look for the link titled Match Play Reminders. None of this is new information, but we think there is still value in a number of PowerPoint slides from previous year's rules modules. The following are important reminders of the code of conduct expected of all tennis players, coaches, and spectators. As you look at the reminders about tennis etiquette, there is one point that officials and tournament management request is reviewed more carefully this year. Immediately from the first match of the season, teach your players that ball abuse is unacceptable. Although it's usually done in frustration with oneself, deliberately hitting a ball that is not in play does not meet tennis etiquette expectations. Help your players deal with their frustration in more positive ways. Hopefully it will be rare for any coach to need information about carrying over code violations that occur after a match is over to the player's next match, but do note this slide talks about what happens if a player commits a code violation after a singles match and after a doubles match. Instructing players to state the score loudly enough for opponents to hear on every serve will prevent most scoring disputes. Please assist your players with this. If there are disputes over the score, they can be resolved by using one of the following methods. Please assist players in resolving any scoring disputes if needed. The next slides will cover some MSHSL bylaws and rules that are especially applicable to tennis. All coaches should have a thorough knowledge of the game rules for tennis. You must also have thorough knowledge of MSHSL bylaws that affect the coaching of your sport, and you must know the additional rules and policies for your sport that are contained in the Rules and Policies Manual. Once again, you can find that in your coach's dashboard. There are separate rules and policies for each sport that you coach. In a more simplified fashion, here are the 3 items that you must review: the USTA Rulebook for on-deck court, the MSHSL bylaws that pertain to tennis, and the MSHSL tennis rules and policies. There still seems to be some confusion around this topic. Tennis teams may schedule 28 matches on 16 different dates during the season. For example, 3 teams are at one site on a single date. If Team A plays a match against Team B and another match against Team C, that counts as 2 matches for Team A toward their 28, but is on only one date toward the 16 dates. Here's another example on a different day. Team A could travel to Team D, play a match, then travel to Team E and play a match. That would also be 2 matches, but just one date. Note, if a JV team from School A plays against the varsity team from School F, that will count as one varsity match for both teams. You are reminded that for an event to count as a scrimmage, teams cannot wear uniforms, Scorecards cannot be used, scores cannot be reported, and other changes must be made to distinguish the event from a regular match. This is not new, but an important reminder. Only official members of the high school team who are registered through the school and approved by the activities director may participate with that team in either practice or competition. Girls may participate on the boys' team in the spring, but only if they have not participated on the girls' team during the fall of the same school year. In addition, opposite gender managers who play in the opposite season, or even those who may play in the opposite season, may not feed balls or play while serving as a manager. This becomes a risk of a Bylaw 208 violation. Restated, a student may only participate in one season of tennis during a school year. Boys can only participate during the spring season on the boys' team. Girls may participate in the spring or the fall, but they cannot play both in the same school year. This includes both practice and competition. Whether or not a coach has coached these students previously has no impact. Bylaw 208, Non-School Competition and Training, is covered in the General Coaches module. If you coach at all during the non-high school season, be sure to review the bylaw and your coaching roles with your AD to ensure you do not risk ineligibility for any players. In simple language, you cannot work with or coach your high school players in the off-season, except during the summer waiver period. The following section will cover MSHSL postseason roster and lineups. The lineup procedures have been very successful, although there continue to be a few questions and issues annually. Coaches must review the procedures in the tennis rules and policies. Be sure to take your lineup seriously, even if you do not think your team will be advancing. A couple key points. The same 10 players must be in all 3 lineups. Substitutions can happen without questions with your alternates at 4 singles and 3 doubles. If you have any questions about the team certified lineup procedure, be sure to ask your section manager. Note, any possible player for team or individual section competition must be listed on your rank order or listed as an alternate. If you aren't sure somebody will be needed, or you aren't sure if they'll be medically cleared from an injury before the section competition, we still suggest that you add them. Past the deadline, you can't add alternates or players, so you'd rather have them listed than not. All lineups must be submitted to tennis reporting by the section deadline. Then all of the lineups will be available to all the other coaches in the section for review prior to the seating meeting. Section tournament seating meetings provide an opportunity for all schools to review the postseason team lineups. A maximum of 3 approved postseason certified lineups may be submitted and approved. Once again, the same 10 players must be in all 3 lineups. Then, coaches will discuss and approve the rank order of each school's 10-person roster. Coaches will discuss and approve the 3 certified lineups using the approved rank orders of singles players. And a lineup that is disputed can be changed to reach certified status. If you need to use an alternate, if the alternate is inserted into the singles lineup, the alternate would be placed at 4 singles, all other singles players move up in the lineup, and the doubles lineup would not change. If you're inserting the player into the doubles lineup, the alternates would be placed at 3rd doubles, all other doubles players move up, and the singles lineup does not change. And here are some additional MSHSL tennis reminders. Air quality information was added to board policy for weather in late spring of 2023 when we were getting all the smoke from the Canadian wildfires. This provides recommendations for schools to consider when postponing or canceling practices and competitions when the air quality is at poor levels. There is an explanation and a chart posted on the MSHSL website. This slide covers new rules regarding player analysis technology, allowing objects of reasonable size to be attached to a net post. If your program is considering using this technology or is at a site that uses it, please note the size specifications above. Note that the USTA code states foot faulting is cheating. Coaches are expected to educate their players about foot faults. During the regular season, the two coaches should monitor and correct when needed. At the state tournament, we have roving officials provided to assist. There is more information about this in the Match Play Reminders PowerPoint that is posted on your coach's dashboard. Here is a summary about the expectations of continuous play. Play should be continuous from the time the match starts until the match finishes. 25 seconds is allowed, but if the server is ready to serve, the opponent should be ready to go, which is highlighted in the third bullet. The receiver must play to the reasonable pace of the server. The last two bullet points are about time between games. Players should not sit at the end of the first game. Play must be suspended when weather, inadequate light, surface conditions, health concerns, safety concerns, or other circumstances justify doing so. This slide covers the next steps. You can also find this in the MSHSL Tennis Rules and Policies on pages 4 and 5. Either player in singles or any of the 4 players in doubles may call a servicelet. Officials have been receiving more questions about when the ball hits a permanent fixture. If the ball hits a permanent fixture before hitting the court, then the player loses the point. If the ball hits a permanent fixture after hitting the ground, the player who hits the ball wins the point. And finally, a couple regular season reminders. All team members' uniforms must be matching. Shorts or skirts can have different logos, such as a small Nike logo or a small Adidas logo, as long as they match, for example, solid black for all players. And be sure to report all scores to tennis reporting. As Charlie covered in the General Coaches Rules meeting, sportsmanship must have a full-time presence in league-sponsored, educationally based activities and must continually be emphasized. Coaches are the most important person in teaching and modeling good sportsmanship. Be intentional about teaching and modeling sportsmanship for your players. You have the most powerful and influential voice in that endeavor. Teach and model to your students and spectators how to resolve conflicts when they do occur. Before we wrap up, here are some USTA and NFHS resources that may help you throughout the season. The USTA offers a variety of grants to help grow the game of tennis. If you need support or are in need of assistance, be sure to check out the website below. USTA offers a team tennis manual for free. This is a great resource for newer tennis coaches or experienced coaches who are looking for some new ideas. This is accessible on the USTA website, and you can click the link below to download a PDF version. You can also get the Team Tennis Manual and other resources by registering your team on the USTA website. Instructions are on the link on this slide. If you'd like to receive a hard copy of the Team Tennis Manual, you can reach out to the email address listed above. The USTA is actively recruiting officials, and adding officials to the great game of tennis will benefit all of us. Please reach out to your alumni or tennis parents or former coaches and refer them to the USTA.com Start Officiating website to assist in the recruiting process. The NFHS Learning Center is the home to more than 90 online professional development courses for everyone within the interscholastic community: coaches, students, officials, parents, administrators, and individuals within performing arts programs. More than 60 of these courses are available for free. Some of the free online courses include heat illness prevention, ACL injury prevention, and implicit bias. The NFHS and USTA have partnered to create an online coaching tennis course. You can find that at nfhslearn.com.